Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I am Angelie.
And I'm Sarah. Together with our team, we are Mountain Point Academy.
We are so excited to share insights into education with you and hope that you can find value in these conversations geared toward fostering lifelong learners. Let's talk. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast this week. Today we're excited to talk about a topic that might hit home for a lot of people. So we're about a month into the new year, which means New Year's resolutions are either working out or they're failing horribly. Historically, we've seen some resolutions maybe last for a couple weeks and then people give up, or if they're not 100% at it, they're thinking, why am I even doing this? So today we kind of wanted to talk about how your resolutions are coming along, as well as maybe recognizing if you need to revise your goal because maybe it was either too broad or you're not committed enough to it, or maybe you just set too lofty of a goal. You didn't focus on those SMART goals. You didn't focus on the achievable aspect of a SMART goal. And so we're just going to talk about some of those ideas and how to kind of adjust your New Year's resolution if it's not going the way that you plan.
So I read in an article that February is the month where most resolutions fail.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's fascinating. And it's true because I've seen it as like a gym goer. It would be something that we always make fun of people for, like the regular gym goers, would be there all year. And then it was like everyone just couldn't stand January because it would get loaded with people who were never going to last more than 3 weeks. And they were just taking up all the equipment. It's like, why are you here? You're not going to stick with it. Right. So it's funny from that perspective, but so it's true. It's not, there's a reason why people say that most resolutions are going to fail by February is because we've seen it play out.
Yeah.
And that's an obvious example because a gym is easy to set. Like one of the big resolutions people said is, I want to lose weight. I want to be healthier. So the obvious thing is to join a gym. Yeah. So it's obvious when you see a whole bunch of people join in January and then all of a sudden 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, it's empty again. Yeah. So why is that? The psychology behind it is fascinating, Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, so I've been one of those people that's like, yeah, this is the year I'm going to find an exercise routine and stick to it. And it's hit or miss throughout the whole year. There's not consistency for me. And so being that person, I think it's just either I'm not emotionally committed enough to it, where it's like, oh, I should do this, but I'm not really like, hey, I want to do this. It's more of a should, like an expectation versus an inner drive to actually do it. And so I think that's part of it. But I also think that it's, you set a lofty goal, like I'm going to work out every day for 20 minutes. Okay, well, is that realistic with your schedule? Maybe you start at once a week and go from there. So if you're setting yourself up with such a high bar and then you're failing, then it's like, screw it, like I'm done because I just can't do it, right? But if we approached it from a way of, incremental increases, then that's where the power comes from. And that's where I think this discussion of, hey, do we need to adjust our New Year's resolutions? Because I think people get it in their minds of like, New Year's resolution, come January 1, I have to be perfect at it, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the stigma that's associated with a New Year's resolution. But really, it's a year-long goal, right? So if your goal is to get to the gym every day of the week or work out 20 minutes every day, whatever it may be, if you start at that, if you're going from 0 to 100, then you're more likely to give up because you're not hitting those marks. But if you kind of slowly, okay, this week I'm going to start with every Monday, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And then do that for a couple of weeks. And then, okay, now I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, right? And kind of slowly build up that by the end of the year, hey, you're hitting that. I'm working out 20 minutes every day, 5 days a week. So you've hit your goal, but I think it's the longevity of it. And people, I think we're wired to kind of want to just like have it now, right? That instant gratification of, I want perfection now. I want to be great at it. We have kind of this all or nothing mentality where, oh, if I'm not doing it perfect, then I'm just not going to do it at all.
Right.
But why? Why? There can be, little steps along the way and kind of this incremental growth versus just nothing to 100. And I think people sometimes forget that.
No, it's true. And I don't think, like you said, you're either wanting perfection or not doing it at all. So to give yourself grace through the process, and like, it's sad. It is, we laugh, but it's sad. Like when you see a bunch of people coming in, and I'll keep using the gym example because it's one I'm familiar with, but that those people are there because they're trying to do something better for themselves. And so it is kind of sad when it's like, oh man, like as nice it is to have like the space again. Yeah. It's like these people all gave up on their goals so soon because either, like you said, maybe it was a little too much. Maybe they bit off more than they could chew. It was just too much, too hard right off the bat, and they needed to start slower. Or maybe they didn't reach their goal, so they felt defeated right off the bat, and we're like, well, what's the point? I'm just not going to do it at all then. Might as well just sit on my couch, right? But I think the one thing that you said earlier is the important question to ask first is, how emotionally committed to the goal are you? I think that, that showed up in a Forbes article we read, but how committed are you? Why did you set the goal in the first place? Mm-hmm. What's your motivation? Is it because it's January and that's it? Like, I guess I better pick something as a resolution. And do you really want to do it? Yeah. Or are you doing it because somebody else thinks you should or is pressuring you to? Yeah. And if you're not committed to the goal, there's no way you're sticking to it.
Well, sure. If it's an external motivation of, oh, hey, I have to set this New Year's resolution because my Instagram followers are expecting it, or my family is expecting it, then that's not going to motivate you. It has to be that internal motivation of, I really want to take ownership for my own life and what I want it to look like in order for it to stick, right? And so finding that internal motivation sometimes can be a little bit harder for people because it's sad, but I think society has taught us to like not keep commitments to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? Where it's all about, we have to be there. We have to show up for our employer. We have to show up for our family. We have to show up for this. But when are we taught like, hey, you got to show up for yourself too? Because if you're not showing up for yourself, how are you going to show up for your family? How are you going to show up for your employer? If you're so worn down and don't have faith in yourself because you can't even keep a commitment to yourself, how is that going to translate into every other area of your life? And I know that might seem like a kind of a selfish mentality, but really it's kind of like you can't give from an empty cup. You could be an extra body in the room, but if you're empty and depleted, then what are you actually giving to the situation? And so I think that's kind of the question to ask yourself is, okay, this New Year's resolution is a commitment to myself. How am I going to show up for myself?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the airplane rules when they tell you, like, put your own mask on first for oxygen right before you help somebody else.
And it kind seems counterintuitive.
Right? It's like, oh, you want to help people, you want to do this for other people. But if that's your mentality, that's amazing. But like you said, you can't give from an empty cup. So definitely find the time to commit to yourself, commit to your goals. If it's something you do want to accomplish, break it down in a smaller chunks, like, go through the goal setting process. A resolution is really just that, a goal that you're accomplish, something that you want to change that you're either currently not doing, you want to do, maybe it's like some type of lifestyle change, but ultimately it's a goal. So make it, specific enough that whether or not you're achieving it, measurable, something measurable. You touched on it a little bit, but if it's too broad, there's really no direction there either. So make sure it's achievable, but give yourself some direction, like just saying, I'm going to eat healthier. That's kind of hard to know what that means.
Yeah, that was the first thing.
It means many things to many people. So specify it.
Yeah, what is your healthy? Does healthy for you mean cutting out soda? Does healthy for you mean drinking more water? Like, be specific with your goal, because if it's just too general, then it's like, well, this could be healthy. You start justifying things. Right?
And I would say that February can be a time where many people give up on their resolutions, and that's fine. But maybe the listeners today can recommit to some of the resolutions they've set with the understanding that it doesn't have to be January 1.
Yeah.
To set goals and to make your life better. So don't just give up on your entire year.
Yeah.
If you struggled this first month.
Yeah. And
now's the time to revise and revisit.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something I was going to touch on too, is I think we all get in this like, oh, I'll start Monday, or I'll start this day, or it's like, no, why not start now? Like you can always be revisiting and revamping your goals and your achievements and all sorts of things. So sit down, evaluate where you're at, and then recommit. And if it is too lofty of a goal, then just adjust it. Say, okay, if by the end of the year, I want to be going to the gym 4 times a week, what's my plan to get there? And outline it. Say, for this month, I'm going to go this many times. And then the next month, I'm going to increase it. And, kind of sit down and map it out, and then kind of have that as your motivation. But we're curious to hear how your resolutions are going. Let us know if you're just killing it. And if you are, what tips you have to help us kill it.
Right.
Just let us know how it's going. Or if you're not doing so great, let us know that too, and what your plan is to adjust and move forward so that you can hit that resolution.
Absolutely.
So,
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and you learned a bit more about the power of education. If you liked this episode, be sure to share it with your friends. Our goal is to get the rising generation excited about lifelong learning so they can continue to improve their quality of life, not only through formal education, but through the love of learning by exploring their talents, passions, and dreams. And if you have a student or you are a student, be sure to continue to listen for exciting Career Day episodes to help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And if you are on the fence about online learning or aren't sure if it's the right fit for you or your student, we are doing free consultation calls at mountainpointacademy.com/let's chat. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.